Hey guys, so I am getting ready to set up dinner. I figured I would film it so I could do a sort of meals of the week type video. But first up is going to be a beef brisket. It's going to be primarily in the crock pot, but I'm going to start it off in by like just browning the sides of this big chunk of meat in my pan here. I'm going to make these into like French dip sandwiches, and then I'm sure we'll have plenty left over to eat, like a roast or whatever, even the night after tomorrow night. But I'm going to get on making this first. So this, the recipe calls for a brisket, obviously, because it's a beef brisket recipe. But my commissary only had gigantic briskets, and they were like $50 for the whole thing, and the recipe calls for 2 pounds, and those were like way more than 2 pounds, and I don't need that much brisket. So we're going to try this beef chuck shoulder pot roast instead. So I'm just going to get this in a pan here on a little bit. This is on medium to high. Okay, this is between medium and high heat, and I just got olive oil in the bottom of it to start here. So I'm just heating that up, and I'm just going to go ahead and get my big chunk of meat and brown. Yeah, brown all sides of it. So it's 2 to 4 minutes on each side. Okay, so I salt and peppered both sides pretty generously. I tried to get a little bit on this little side here as well. And then I did this side for about 2 minutes, flipped it over, and now I got the other side going. And I have my crock pot out because I'm going to put all the stuff for, all the other stuff I need is going to go right into the crock pot. Alright, so down in here I have about 5 russet potatoes, a couple small carrots, not a ton. We're not huge carrot fans in this house, but they do give beef a good flavor. So my husband likes raw carrots, not cooked ones. So those are down in there with one onion. And I'm going to put the, okay honey, I'm going to put the brisket that has gotten nice and golden on all sides. I'm going to get those right on top, the brisket right on top. Okay, so I've got now, the recipe I'm following calls for 4 cloves of garlic. I just used minced garlic and just kind of put a bunch in there that looked like about 4 tablespoons or 4 cloves worth. It might be even a little bit more. 4 bay leaves, and then 2 teaspoons of rosemary, which I just sprinkled in. Next, I need to put beef broth, and it's going to be 2 cups of beef broth and 2 cups of red wine. Now, the only red wine I have in my house right now is Lambrusco, so I'm going to be using a little bit of this. Not too much, though, because I don't want it to be, I don't know, I don't want it to have too much of this flavor. This will cook off too, so it'll be fine. But I'm pregnant, so I just have a few things in the house, and this was left over from before I found out I was pregnant. It's something I keep on hand just in case we have people over. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this and some beef broth. All right, so I added those 2 things in. I actually ended up doing 4 cups of the chicken broth instead of 2 cups because I already had 2 cans of beef broth, and each can was 2 cups. And after it tells you to add the 2 cups of broth and the 2 cups of wine, it has you add water to cover. And I figured I already had the 2nd can, so I might as well use that as well, just to give more flavor, because you just need liquid after that point anyway. So I did I ended up doing 2 cans, which equals 4 cups of beef broth, and then it ended up being about 3 cups. Well, yeah, about 3 cups of water, and I'll need to do a little bit more just to make sure it covers. And then the recipe says low for 8 hours. I don't have 8 hours. I'd like dinner to be ready in about 6 hours, so I'm going to cook it on high for about 3 hours or so, and then switch it to low and see how that works out. But this is it. It's ready to go. I'm going to cut up and broil the French bread after I put the French dip or the beef on this, and then we'll have yummy French dip sandwiches. I'm going to serve this with some like steak fries or potato wedges. Alright, it's just about dinner time, and this beef has been going pretty good. I just turned it down to warm for right now. In here I have some potato wedges just cooking up. Those are about done, and I pulled out my French bread. We're going to use this as our like sandwich bread for tonight. The kids probably won't eat sandwiches. They'll probably just eat everything separate, like, you know, the bread, the steak, and some fries, and then some veggies. So I'm just gonna get this cut up and get it, and then get the beef sliced up and get it on here, some pieces of it on here with some cheese. It's gonna be really, really good. Alright, so it's all ready. We've got the liquid from the, like the juices from the beef here to dip. I got my sandwich. I just broiled it. I did mine a little bit too long, but I think it'll be okay. I have another piece of bread if not. Larry's looks good though. So I just put this beef on here, put a little provolone and broiled it. And then we have little steak fries. And then the kids have steak fries, and they also have little carrots and potatoes as well. And then we've got some condiments if we want them, and this is dinner tonight. Okay, so this meat is actually for dinner tomorrow, but a lot of you asked about the recipe when I mentioned it. Alright, so this dinner is actually for tomorrow, but I figured while I am getting ready to cook tonight's dinner, I would show you the prep for this because a lot of you asked about it. I did include this in my last, or maybe my couple weekend vlogs back. But a lot of you said you wanted the recipe, so I'm gonna show it to you now, and you're gonna have to ignore any noise because I got the boys down here and my husband's playing a video game with my oldest. So here we go. So I have flank steak here, and I'm just gonna marinate it, and I'm gonna let this sit overnight. It's really, really good if you let it sit a good bit. I'm gonna do some jalapeno slices and some of the jalapeno juice, some garlic here, some soy sauce, some lime juice. Lemon juice works good, fresh or bottled. For both is fine. I happen to have a lime, so I'm gonna use it. I've got onion powder, cumin, garlic powder, beer. Shiner Bock is the original recipe that this the original recipe includes Shiner Bock, but my husband drinks Miller Lite, so we have it. So that's what I'm using, and I use it often, and it works out great. I like light beer for this kind of thing because it has a little bit less of the beer flavor. It's not so strong, but it's still there, if that makes any sense. And then I just got salt and pepper. So I don't really have measurements. I just gonna put everything in, the entire can, the Miller Lite though, and I just make sure that there's enough to get at least half of the slab of meat covered, somewhere between half and the whole thing covered. I'll show it to you when I'm all done, but I just kind of add things in as I choose for flavoring to go along with what my family likes. So I'm gonna put it all in here, and then tomorrow you will see me assemble the nachos and everything. Tonight for dinner, we are having baked potatoes with some ribeye steaks. So the baked potatoes are just going already in here, and we're going to fire up the grill in about half an hour or so. And we're just gonna have some steaks, and I'm doing super simple, just using the McCormick Montreal steak seasoning, a little bit of butter on them on each side, grilling them up, and that's it, super easy. Alright, here is what the meat looks like once you get all the marinade in. This is about the amount of liquid. I also put in a little bit of the liquid from the jarred jalapenos. Now if you use fresh jalapenos, you're not going to have this juice, and that's fine. The original recipe that I found for this didn't call for these, but I like them in it. I think it gives it really, really good flavor. So I like to add some slices and some of the juices from this, and I find that the jarred slices are a little more mild than a freshly cut jalapeno, so I like those a lot. I ended up doing a whole lime. I just squeezed the juice in, and then I just threw in these guys in there with it, and those will be fine. Got some garlic in there as well. It's just minced garlic from a jar. And this is ready to go in the fridge to sit until I'm ready to use it tomorrow. Alright, my baked potatoes are all nice and soft on the inside. They're ready to go. They're just in here. The oven's just like off but still warm. My steaks are on the grill. They're both ribeyes. And I'll show you really quick. This is what I use whenever I don't have the time to do a marinade. Like if I, like today, bought steaks and then came home and we wanted them right then. I like to use either this or the Chicago steak seasoning, but today I use this and just a little butter on each side of the steak, little salt, super good. So those are on the grill right now, and then I'm just sauteing. Oops, I'm just sauteing up some white button mushrooms and some onions. They're like sweet onions, and I have a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And once these all cook down and they're like, you know, cooked and good enough to eat, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of A1 and mix it up a little bit, and it'll be a nice topping to the steak. Okay, so we are making steak. They're actually carne asada nachos is what I call them. But we're making those tonight. I showed you guys how to marinate those last night before I showed you what I was cooking last night. So right now I'm just cutting up some sweet onions and some mushrooms. I'm gonna sprinkle a little taco seasoning over top of them and some salt and pepper. And I'm just gonna saute these up in some olive oil in a pan, and these are gonna go on the nachos as well. Okay, so my steak is still on the grill. It's flank steak, if you guys didn't already hear me say that in the marinating portion of this sort of like recipe. So I'm gonna assemble them. All I do is I do a layer of chips, not the whole bag of chips, just one layer of chips. A little bit of cheese. Today I'm using mozzarella and white American. White American really makes this. It really makes it really good. So I'm gonna do that, and then I have my onions that I sauteed. So I'm gonna put about half of those sprinkled over this layer. I'm gonna saute up some mushrooms as well. Sometimes I do red bell peppers instead, but I have onions, or I have mushrooms, so I'm gonna use those too. I'm gonna saute those up. So it'll be a layer of chips, cheese, vegetables, beef, and then I'll kind of repeat the layer again, if that makes any sense. So, and then I'm gonna put this in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and start layering and get my steak off the grill and kind of show you what it looks like once the 2 layers are completed, because I usually do it in about 2 layers. All right, here's what it looks like. I have 2 layers done of the cheese, the onions, the mushrooms, the beef, and the chips. You could also do jalapenos. I really like those jarred jalapenos that I showed you guys in my marinade. I'm the only one in my house that really likes jalapenos, and since I'm not cooking this for a big gathering or a party, it's just for me, my husband, and our 2 boys. I just skipped the jalapenos for tonight so everybody can eat them without having to pick stuff out. So I'm going to pop this in the oven. I have the oven at 375. I'm really just waiting for the cheese to melt pretty much because everything else is cooked. So just trying to have the cheese melt so that everything kind of goes together. It's going to be so good. Here they are, all done. Are they good, babe?
Just saying that's where there
Are they good?
people, though.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so for dinner tonight, I made a really big ham, and we'll have the meal we're having tonight for 2 nights in a row, and then the following night we'll start eating a ham and potato and green bean soup. But so I have a ham. I've cut off some pieces. I've got corn in here, just some salt and pepper. And then over here I have my loaded mashed potatoes. I've showed these before. It's just regular russet potatoes, peeled, boiled, and I cut them into pieces too. And then you have everything in here that you would have in like a big baked potato. So butter, sour cream, bacon, shredded cheddar, and green onion. So I'm just gonna mix it all together, and this is gonna be dinner tonight. Hey guys, okay, so after 2 days of eating on the ham, this is what I usually will do. Sometimes I'll save a couple slices for like sandwiches and stuff as well, just because I always buy a really big ham. So I have the ham in here. I leave the bone. Any ham that's still attached to the bone, I leave on the bone. And you can just easily fish that out or avoid it whenever you go to eat it. So I've got that in there. I've got a whole carton of chicken broth. Stock works fine too. I've got some mini, I think they're called the Klondikes, gourmet Klondike potatoes. They're kind of like mini Yukon Gold potatoes is what I always think of. And I'm just going to add in 1 or 2 cans of French style green beans. And I usually will go ahead and add the juices in from these green beans as well. And then I do salt, pepper, garlic powder, and lots of Texas Pete. And then I just cook it on low for several hours. Sometimes I'll put it on high if I'm kind of in a hurry, but low is fine. And everything's already cooked, so you're just waiting for the, the potatoes to sort of soften up because the ham's cooked and the green beans are fine as is. So you're just kind of wanting the flavors to kind of blend together, and you want your potatoes to soften up. Sometimes I actually will leave this on low even overnight. If we have it for dinner, I'll just leave it on low or warm overnight, usually warm, and we'll just eat on it the next day too, and it stays fine. So this is what we're going to be having for dinner for the next couple nights, and I'm actually a little under the weather, so I don't feel good, so soup sounds great. We're actually watching the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld today too, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, so this is what's going to be for dinner. Okay guys, so a couple of you had mentioned that you wanted to see my stuffed French toast recipe. It's really easy. It's really not even a recipe. I just kind of throw a bunch of store-bought stuff together and make it work. You could do this anyway, really. French toast recipe, super basic. Eggs, milk, cinnamon, brown sugar, vanilla if you have it. I happen to not have any on hand for like the first time ever. I used the last of it a couple days ago, but it'll be fine without it. That's fine. And then you're going to just cook these on either a pan or an electric griddle, which is what I'm using. And then you just make them like a sandwich. You stuff a little bit of blueberry preserves, a little bit of blueberry cream cheese inside, and then you drizzle blueberry syrup.
And pancakes.
And we have this kind of syrup too, for in case somebody doesn't want blueberry syrup.
We like this, and I like this. And
Lincoln's gonna help me.
And I like this.
For the blueberry preserves, I like this one.
Mommy, you let me say up here first.
Sure. I I really feel like it does not taste good. It will not taste good if you use like jelly. You need like a thick preserves, like with the fruit in it. Like this has whole blueberries in it. It's really awesome. So anyways, I'm just gonna get started and get my stuff for the French toast part in this dish, and then I'm gonna cook up the pieces. Well, all right, so here's the French toast. I just flipped it over. I'm gonna let it go for a quick minute on this side, and then we'll move on to stuffing them, and I'll show you what they look like all plated up. Okay, we're gonna stuff all the French toast now. Lincoln's gonna help me. And we've got all of our stuffing in here. So we got blueberry cream cheese and
I love these.
Yeah, this one's really good. And blueberry preserve. Obviously, you could stuff these with whatever you want. You could even make them savory if you wanted to.
And for sandwich.
Yeah. And then I have blueberry syrup a lot, but I know my husband, this will be too sweet.
It's really tall.
For him, so he'll
it's really tall. It's really tall.
Yeah. So
and this one is smaller.
Yeah. So all I'm gonna do is put a little bit of preserves on one slice.
And it's 2 for us, and there's 3 for you.
Okay, and cream cheese on the other, and then I'm just gonna close it, and it's gonna be stuffed. I have done it before where I put this in with the mix, like the milk mixture, before I toast the French toast on the griddle, but the blueberries tend to burn, so we're gonna do it this way. All right, so I have Lincoln helping me, and he picked out some music to listen to while he helped me, but here's what the French toast looks like after you're done putting the filling on either side. You could totally make your own like blueberry like jam if you want to, but I want the easy way. So you're just gonna put them together like a little sandwich, and then you just drizzle a little bit of syrup over top of it or some whipped cream, and you're good to go. Okay, so here it is all plated up. This one is mine, obviously, because there's blueberry syrup. I just put a little whipped cream on top, and I sprinkled a little bit of cinnamon. I'm gonna eat this, and then I've got to clean up the counter because Lincoln made a little bit of a mess. And we're having our dinner tonight with coffee because we're having breakfast for dinner, so why not? Alright guys, really quick, I wanted to show you guys a recipe that I'm trying out. This is not for a dinner, but it's for like some bread for snacks and lunch tomorrow. I figured I'd give this a try. It's bread machine focaccia bread. I just pinned this to my Pinterest, I think it's food, and then there's like a little slash mark, and then it's bread machine recipes. I'm gonna try this one out today. The only thing I did different was, instead of using regular Italian seasoning, like the herbs, I tried out a Italian dressing, like seasoning and recipe mix pack. It's one of these guys. I smelled it and I thought, man, I wonder if that would make the breads taste really good. So I used the same amount of Italian seasoning that's in the recipe. I used this instead of that, instead of using regular Italian seasoning, to see how this turns out. So hopefully it works out okay. I also added in a little bit of rosemary because I just like that in focaccia bread. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works out. But I wanted to show this to you guys in case you guys are looking for bread machine recipes, or you know, it's getting to the end of your meal plan and you're trying to be a little bit creative for lunches, because that's kind of what's happening here. But yeah, so I just put it in my bread machine. Alright guys, the boys are watching Star Wars, so it's a little loud back there, but I'm also going to try out this recipe too, just trying to use up some flour. I've got lots of baking goods on my grocery list this coming up week, just to replenish. There's a lot of baking going to be coming up in the month of October, November, December, so I'm just trying to use up what I have on hand, because I know I'm going to buy more already. This is the Amish white bread recipe. This has been pretty popular on a couple Facebook pages I follow, so I thought I'd give it a try since I have plenty of stuff and my kids love, you know, to eat bread. I figured these would be good in like a roll form, like little dinner rolls with some butter on them. So I'm just using up this recipe right now. It's just the Amish white bread, and this is not on my Pinterest, but this is from allrecipes.com. So I'm going to give this a try. It has a loaf here. I'm not going to do a loaf though. I'm probably going to break it up into pieces and do something a little different maybe. And maybe I'll do a loaf too. I don't know. We'll see. Okay guys, so it is Sunday and this is going to be lunch for today. I've got a baked potato with just chili and cheese on top of it. I'm going to top these with sour cream. Some Brussels sprouts. These are just like the steamable Brussels sprouts. And then we're doing fish sandwiches. So this is actually the Amish bread. Hold on, buddy. This is the Amish white bread recipe I was talking about before. I showed you guys a little clip of me cooking some breads. It tastes amazing. It's a lot more dense than I expected it to be, and it doesn't cut very pretty, but it tastes really great. So we have 2 big old pieces of that, some Key West fried fish fillet in the center. It's just, it's eggless, So it's just whatever cut of fish you like. This is tilapia. You dip it in butter, and then you dip it in a Ritz cracker Parmesan seasoning sort of mixture. And I fried it in coconut oil. And on top I have a slice of cheddar cheese. I think it's sharp cheddar. The kids have basically the same thing, but no chili, no potato, and it's kind of like deconstructed what I gave them. Also on the sandwiches I have mayonnaise that I mixed with some dill. I don't love tartar sauce, but I do like mayo, so I just did a little bit of dill with some mayo, and this is going to be dinner. If you guys would like that fish recipe, let me know. I did find the original recipe online, but I really went away from it a lot. Okay, so here's how the focaccia bread came out. The recipe called for it being a smaller like circle. I just spread mine out into a rectangle in a bigger baking sheet because I wanted more of it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to take a pizza cutter and cut 2 long ways and about 3 or 4 this way. That way I have like kind of like sandwich slices. And these are going to be great because for tomorrow and maybe the next day, these are going to be great for like little sandwiches just served as a side, or you know, something like that. I think these would be really good with like a tuna melt, or even like a little mini piece of like personal pizza, little sauce, little cheese on it, toasted in the toaster oven. So I'm gonna cut this up. This recipe was really, really good, so I enjoyed it. And yeah, so I'm gonna cut this up now and see what I can do as far as storing it. Alright, so what I did to store these, I do have big bread loaf bags with like little twist ties that I got when I first got my bread maker. I have like 100 of them. You can get them on Amazon. They come in like huge packs. They're great for loaves of bread or like big, you know, big hunks of bread, you know. But I just didn't want to leave it as a whole piece. It wouldn't have fit in the bags as a whole piece. And I kind of like the idea of putting it in pairs. So what I've done is, and I have the bags open to let some of the steam out. I have like-sized pieces matched up so that when we go to make sandwiches tomorrow and the next day, or even little pizzas, it'll be kind of like little French bread pizzas, we can just grab a bag and know that the 2 pieces match up for a sandwich. And then this one I have 2 little corner pieces that the kids will probably snack on. So yeah, so I'm just going to kind of let the steam out of these. I put them in there a little too early. I should let it cool a little more. And then I'll store these in the fridge so they last, and I don't have any issues with it getting moldy. But I might need to transfer them to a different bag. They're really steaming up. But anyway, so yeah, I just picked up like-size pairs, you know, and put them in a bag. That way when you're making a sandwich, you don't have one slice that's way bigger than the other. So it's all matched up nice for size. So this should be, let's see, sandwich for my husband and I each tomorrow. Maybe a pizza for each of us on Tuesday, and then little pizzas tomorrow for the kids, like 2 little slices. We'll just put like a little pasta sauce, little mozzarella on there and toast those. Okay, you guys, so really quick for tonight, and probably if there's leftovers, we'll eat this tomorrow night as well. We'll also kind of just eat on whatever's in the fridge tomorrow, because tomorrow is the last day before I go grocery shopping again. I'm not going to film the plate, like plate it up tonight, because I want to film this really quick, tell you what we're having, and get it edited before I start cooking. So ground beef here, I'm just going to use a can of manwich, plain old manwich. You could totally make your own sloppy joe mix, but I happen to have a can on hand. I like to grab stuff like that just to have manwich, this ground beef. I might mix a few onions in it because we do have 1 onion left. I've got enough buns for us to each have 1 sloppy joe each for 2 nights in a row, which I think will work out because the kids don't really fill theirs that much. So this might be 2 dinners worth, hopefully. We'll see. And then along with that, we're going to try out this summer salad. We have 1 bag left of summer salad. We ate the other one for lunch yesterday. Well, I guess it was just a snack. And then we gave the rest of it to the rabbit. So we're going to try out this salad kit. It's the Endless Summer Salad Kit. It's got a Dole's Summer Vinaigrette. So we're going to have this alongside our sloppy joes. And then I'm going to make a quick peanut butter cookie for dessert. And that'll be it for tonight.